Hi everyone, I'm Carley of Gnarly Gaming, and today I am back couchside to have another couch conversation. This is a series I started to just kind of geek out about games. I'll talk about games, I will talk about a game today that I've been playing a bit, as well as to talk about things within the gaming sphere, whether that's how I collect games or get rid of games, or philosophy when it comes to crowdfunding or interacting with other gamers and conventions I love, whatever it may be. And today I'm actually going to be talking about a game, Castellans of Valeria, that's coming out on Kickstarter, as well as I'm going to be talking about world building in general, because this game is so entrenched in a world that the publisher has built. Thank goodness for this. It's been a long week and I need it. So, Castellans of Valeria is the game that I wanted to geek out about today, and I have it right over here. If it looks familiar, it's because the art and box and world are. This game is part of a game series that all take place within the same world of Valeria. So there's other games like Castellans of Valeria that all exist within the same world space. This, however, is very mechanically different. So they're building different games with different mechanisms that all take place within the same landscape. So it's kind of fleshing out worlds, showing you different parts of it, and letting you have different adventures within the same space. I think that's really cool. It's something that a couple of publishers have done. When I think of this, I think of things like Tidal Blades from Skybound Games, where they've started to create different series of games all revolving around the same community and world and competition space. And in this, it's the world of Valeria. And so when I first got it, I had asked if I needed to play Card Kingdoms or any of those others in the series in order to really get a feel for what this game offers. And I was told no. I was told that you can appreciate the Valeria series, that people who like the Valeria series can really enjoy different games in different ways, but that they can appreciate the depths of it, but that this can stand alone. And so I really wanted to delve in to this game, what's it all about since it's hitting Kickstarter soon, but also to talk about the world it builds and potentially how it could fit into the broader worlds. Instead of starting with the older games, though, I decided to just jump into this one. I wanted to see the world that it presented and whether or not this was a game for me based on this game and this game alone. So, what then is Castellans all about? In Castellans of Valeria, you are a Castellan, and you have been invited to Kosk, the westernmost city in Valeria that has a newly appointed duke, and they want you to help develop the districts within this as a contest to see who will be the newest Castellan of the area. So it's very similar, very familiar. It's a city building game, and we're competing to be the best developer, architect, Castellan. It's another one of those in that space. While I might think that theme has been a little overused in terms of city development, I do really just freaking love city development games. They have interesting engines, they use resources creatively. Maybe thematically it's a little funky to think about how someone is actually coordinating that and who would host a contest for a job, but they're just really joyful spaces, and they usually end up being beautiful landscapes built across a board, whether that's a personal one or a shared one. In this game, it is a shared board, and this board is stunning. It's a map of Kosk, and it's divided into 6 different districts. This will be places that we are going to be able to build manors and lighthouses and watchtowers and windmills and all the little bits that I love see come to life in a city building landscape. And here, what we're going to be doing is competing. And so different parts of the city, different districts are going to be evaluated each of the 5 rounds of the game. In the first round, 3 of them will be evaluated, then another 3, then another 3, then another 3, and then in the 5th round, all of them will be evaluated for one last time. And what this ultimately culminates to is an area control game. We're going to be developing things, and we're trying to build up influence in the regions that will be evaluated round to round. Now, there are different types of buildings and different ways you can earn points. There's also these grand monuments you can erect. There's 3 of them in total that they don't give you influence, but they give you other ways to score points based on what's present around them. For instance, there is a beautiful little monument. I'm looking over here because I have the game over here, and I want to maybe a little show you. but I will see if I can find one. Okay, so that took longer than expected, but here is one of the cute little lighthouse pieces. I'll probably pop it up so you can see it. But it's an adorable little monument, and it cares about the boats in its harbor. It gets points for boats in its harbor every round, regardless of what districts are scoring. And so there are all of these different pieces that go together, and at the end of the game, it's the most points who wins. The city of Kosk also has these guilds that you can influence, and so playing in different districts where those guilds are present or building certain types of things can get you extra boosts within those. And at the end of the game, some extra points will be tacked on for receiving the most influence in each of the respective guilds. So you're essentially trying to impress Kosk with all of your development and make key relationships with these guilds along the way to score those points. But all in all, it is an area control game, and you're probably thinking, okay, we have city builders, we have area control games. What makes this novel? I'm pretty sure I covered an area control game a couple weeks back. And what makes this novel is the action system and how you go about building this up. It's not just I place this here and you place that there. You actually have to manage your own resources and build up slowly. You can unlock special abilities along the way and citizens that can help you. And the action system to me is what makes this game really satisfying and fun. How it works is we have all of these dice, and based on the number of players, you'll always have 3 per player plus 3 more. The first player will roll them, and everyone will draft 3 dice for themselves each round, and the other 3 will kind of go into a side supply that can have consequences. When you draft them, you get the resource shown on the dice. They're 6 different faces. They all have different resources, things like wood and stone that you're going to use to build, gold that you're going to use to pay for those monuments that get you extra points, and other things like food that can recruit you citizens with special abilities, whether that's instant or ongoing. And so all of these things you're going to want, and so when you draft them, you get the things. But it's more than that for what you draft. You get it, but then you also get to use it. You'll have 3 actions after everyone has drafted. And in each of the actions of the game, you can use any dice to take an action. So essentially, if I have a die that I'm going to spend to take an action, I'll always get to do the action I want. I like that. I like to be able to do the things I want, and sometimes drafts don't always go in your favor. However, if you use a certain die for each of the actions of the game, then you actually get a bonus. So for instance, if you were building manors, which are awesome to build and unlock their own special abilities and give you influence within districts and all these wonderful things, if you were going to build them and use a die face with wood on it, you actually get an extra wood immediately before taking that action. And that can help you not only build the manor you want to do, but also just kind of keep your resource engine going. So you're incentivized to draft, but also the things kind of match up pretty well with what you'd be drafting and wanting and what the bonus you would need to maybe boost if you can make those all align. Additionally, some of these bonuses afford you sub-actions. So for instance, if you harvest, which is using all of your dice to get their resources again, and then you basically have the ability, if you use the magic die face, to build a windmill afterwards. This gives you a half point of influence between 2 different districts instead of trying to put influence all in one. One of my favorite actions in sub-action combo is for buying and selling goods. There's basically a port in the game, and one of the actions you can do is spend a die to basically sell goods to the port, or you can basically buy them from it, improving your own resources that you might need for other things, or swapping out the resources you got for the ones you really need. And then as a sub-action, if you use the right die face, you can actually build a ship. Ships give you a point of influence for district competitions, but also there's a sub-action to spend gold to move your ship from port to port. And so you might be able to score points from this one and then sneakily move it around to the next district that's going to score in a future round, giving you a little bit of an edge while spending less resources perhaps than building a whole new manor in each of the 2 districts. And so you can have that kind of ease of floating about, though you still have to pay the cost to charter that ship. Really, the last action that I think is incredibly novel and that should be talked about is the citizen acquiring action, which is spending food resources, where you can use a food die to get an extra bonus, of course, goes hand in hand. but you basically acquire citizens. These will give you influence in the districts that you place them. It lets you influence guilds that they're a part of, things like that. But they also, a lot of them have instant boosts into the resources you get or a passive ability that you can gain. Some of them let you change die faces either as you draft them or as you play them. And some even interact with those 3 dice that we left out when we drafted dice, which is a really cool thing to say. Not only does it matter what I take, but it can matter what I leave behind. The game really builds well over time. I'm contending for not only what matters to me now, but how I'm trying to build up this whole system overall. How do I see the development of the city growing, and how can it best showcase me as a developer along the way? And I really enjoy it. It's area control with a little more of a bite while not being very difficult. At the end of the day, there's still really only 5 core actions in how you're spending your dice, and there's 6 dice that have very intuitive resource acquisition. It goes by really fast. Turns are super quick and sharp, which is nice for family-friendly gamers as well as folks who just don't want to wait hours between turns. Area control is something that I don't want to take forever. The resolution of it can be really brutal, however. So if you have a group that really hates to have things taken away from them, this might not be the one for your crew. Only in the sense that it's mean inherently. If you think you're winning a district and I'm able to whip a ship around to take it from you, or build a windmill just to get a half point over you that sits between 2 districts to maybe win both, it can be pretty brutal. Now, it's not just first place for any of the districts that score points. You have first, second, and third. You also have a little bit of area control for who sells/buys the most resources from the port each round, and your monuments can score independently of anybody, so you can control a little bit of the chaos around you. But truly, it is a head-v-head game in every sense. You're competing on guild tracks, you're competing in the districts, and so if you have a crew that can't handle that bite and that fight, even if they like the resource management and the drafting and the little building up of their own little system, it could be a little brutal. But if you like area control, this is an excellent game. It is one that is more than just I'm moving things around a map. I have to build systems, I have to acquire resources. Whenever you place a manor, you unlock a different ability that affects one of the actions. So, for instance, one of the manors gives you an extra point every single time you build a temple. And so now I'm incentivized that I built that manor to build temples. And I have to build one manor in order to be able to expand my treasury to hold more money. And that can lead me to some of the higher valued monuments. All of these things kind of flow together in this beautiful web. And so it can be very thinky, and I have my own little puzzle to do within the landscape that we're all sharing. That competitive, highly contested landscape that is incredibly beautiful. Cusk, the westernmost city in Valeria, I believe. I'm gonna check now because I'm gonna say it wrong and it's gonna be east. The westernmost city in Valeria and the seat of the newest duke in the kingdom. I was right. So yes, so that is what Castellans of Valeria is all about, and we've been enjoying it quite a bit lately. It's easy to hop into, but has enough of a crunch for me as a Euro gamer to really dig the area control. It's not a party game, but it's just like a hint over a family game that is incredibly approachable. Scoring is simple. It's a little feisty with the people around you. It's solid. It really is. So that kind of wraps up what Castellans is all about and who I think it might be great for. But the last thing I wanted to talk was just about considering world building in general in games. It's a piece of the theme, but if you're crafting a game that's a part of this broader landscape, whether that's an IP that exists, or it could be even a video game IP that exists, or a game series of games that all take place within the same universe, I think about the theme more critically in those spaces, and I want to see them do something deep and rich with them. I like this game a lot, but I will say I don't think it taught me much about Valeria. It taught me about me. It let me develop things within Valeria, but I don't know what Valeria has. I didn't know enough about these guilds. And so I'm really curious as I walk into these other segments of Valeria, like Card Kingdoms, which I also have right here, and I'll actually just show you guys so you can see the side-by-side family of games And I love this. Like, I love the aesthetic of it. I love the idea that I can be like, hey, there are these two very different feeling experiences we can have in this same universe. Which adventure do you want to take? But I don't feel like I got a huge sense of the world's landscape within Castellans. And that's not a critique of Castellans. It's not a storytelling adventure game. It is an area control game, city builder game, resource management, dice drafting, all sorts of loveliness. But it doesn't tell me the story of Valeria. And so I'm wondering which game will. And should all of them, if you're going to build a game within these landscapes, should it be a small segmented story, but can I learn something about it? Can I have like some flavor text within the cards? Can I have something on the map that tells a grander story of what used to be here, what used to happen here? I haven't played Card Kingdoms yet. I was hoping to play after I delve into Castellans a lot so I can really get a sense of what Castellans provides alone. Because maybe I'll play Card Kingdoms and then jump back to Castellans and I'll see something I never saw before. But having not seen it, I'm not sure. And Card Kingdoms is more of an attack-based game. I do know that. It's more of a deck building game, and it's basically Valeria's under attack, and you're defending them as a duke. And so what is the different feeling there, being a duke and leading at the charge in this space? What story is told there on the landscape of Kosk, even? And so these are all the questions I have as I'm grappling through these games, because they've given me a world and I want more answers from it, and I'm definitely going to delve into it and see what I find. I enjoyed Castellans. I want more of Valeria, and it is a prototype. It is going to be on Kickstarter, so maybe we'll get to see more of that taste of the world as they really bring the final product to life. It's already beautiful. It's already a great game. I want that world. I really, really wanted more of a sense of what Valeria was all about. And so if I have to give you my criticism of the game, it's that. And it's just sent me on a spiral of considering world building, not just theme, but world, in these spaces where some publishers are crafting new games and new expansions around the same world spaces. And how do we flesh out worlds and stories, and what really makes something special within a larger series of games in the same world? I don't really have a thought yet or something to truly assert in that, but I think it's an interesting thing to puzzle through as we explore these games. What makes a world worth exploring? When do we focus on gameplay versus world building? And what role does world building take in terms of primacy in establishing these games? I really, really love a solid world. It can take a great game to an excellent game. And maybe that's my only thought there, but world building is a lot of what I've been considering this week, which will be relevant for the video coming up later this week. Quite a lot. I'm going to tell all about another really incredible world. But until then, I hope you guys all have a lovely week, because it's the end of my week. I'm going to have a weekend, but you guys will be heading into a new one by the time this is live. So take care, and yeah, I'll see you for the next video.